Good morning. How often do we look at lost opportunity costs? This is a conversation we keep having, and everybody says, "Oh, yeah, I understand that. I look at that all the time." But do we really? Um, because I don't think we really look at it or even calculate it from the right perspective. As an example, I'm about to go into a crucial conversation, and I keep saying you should never be afraid of crucial conversations, but guess what? I'm really nervous about the conversation I'm about to have with a medical company that's trying to improve their product and service, and they came to our CEO club to help them not only find funding, find executives, and we serve as a board to guide them in the right direction. So even though this CEO seems and says that he's looking for advice, looking to change, looking for opportunities, looking to do all that, I'm still very nervous about presenting, lost opportunity costs, because it's going to be a whole new area to look at that I'm pretty sure hasn't looked at it before. As an example, the first thing that I've noticed, and we've had 4 meetings already with the CEO, and he's a great humanitarian. He's a doctor. He's leaving his profession to start this business because he really believes on this business, and it's really taking care of people, outpatients, and using systems and software and hardware to monitor these patients. So he's really creating better communication between the patient at home and the doctor to get automatic or instant communication, heart rates, and all the vitals. So it's a great system, and it's desperately needed. And he has competitors, and he's been in business for quite a few years. Now, here are some flags from my perspective. Analyzing companies like this for the past 40 years, I have to look at things or see things between the lines. And even though he says he's receptive, I've asked for a call to discuss some of these things. And live on Zoom, he says, yes, he's receptive. Then when I ask for a call to discuss more detail, no show on the call. So I'm concerned about that. And to me, that's a red flag. And the other red flag is one of the questions I'm going to ask, and we'll probably either make or break this deal with this question, right? One of the questions that I want to ask is, how are you finding top talent? And to give you a quick example, I analyzed an architectural firm that had 300 architects, and he believed in having like-minded people. The CEO was an architect, head of HR was an architect, head of sales was an architect, head of marketing was an architect. All the key positions were architects. And because he was a dominant type A personality, very dominant, everyone was afraid to talk to him. He was an aggressive person. And because he believed in surrounding himself with like-minded people, and that's why everybody was an architect, and everyone was an architect first, HR second, architect first, head of sales second. Okay. And we were originally approaching this company to talk about artificial intelligence, presentation tools, augmented reality, because we wanted to show their designs, not just on paper, but putting on the goggles, walking, getting out of the car, walking to this design and walking through the design in virtual reality, because we thought it was a great selling feature for the custom home owner to walk through the house as it's being designed, to smell the apple pie in the kitchen, when the husband is cooking, to hear the kids walking over and hugging, the mother as she walks through the front door, puts the key in the lock, turns the lock, opens the door, walking through the front door. So imagine this, you're buying a $5 million, $10 million home, but you get to experience the home before you actually build it. Imagine that, right? And experiencing all the senses. Anyways, this is what we had planned for them 10 years ago. And they loved the idea. We were working on the technology and so on. But they were slow to act. And by the way, that company does not exist today. Okay. A company with 300 architects with the vision and so on, they failed to act. And because they surrounded themselves with like-minded people, they didn't see the problems coming. And I presented this to the board, and they said, Leo, you're crazy. That's ridiculous. The company does not exist today. Okay. So going back to this medical technology, I'm afraid we are creating the same thing again. And I'm afraid that the rest of the board, and I've had blowouts with the rest of the board, they already know how I feel, that we are not getting the client's attention. We are not having honest, meaningful, deep, meaningful conversation with them. We are being politically correct, and political correctness does not solve long-term problems, does not create permanent change. Okay. I don't want to make the same mistake, because I should have spoke up a lot more with the architectural firm. I should have said, you guys are in danger of being obsolete in a few years. They would have looked at me, they would have probably thrown me out of their office at that point. But at least I had a chance to save their company. I should have been more aggressive with them, like I'm trying to be with this medical company today. I truly believe if they don't change and they have competitors, they will be obsolete very soon, because their numbers are horrible. I won't get into detail, but their numbers are horrible in terms of sales per sales rep. Extremely horrible compared to what other industries, or even the medical industry. Those numbers are outrageously bad. So that is a sign that even though this is a great humanitarian, great doctor, great vision, great things, he's already said 3 or 4 different times that he's not a businessman. So what we're proposing is that he has a board of people who will tell them the truth, who see the problems coming, who see the pitfalls, who see all the problems that the company is creating. Okay, we create our own problems. We don't go bankrupt by accident. We create the bankruptcy. Okay, we create it. It's not the economy, it's not the government, it's not the people that we hire. Well, it's the people that we hire because we hired them. We failed to train them. We failed to give them, the vision. We failed to give them the tools to be efficient, the leverage tools to be efficient, right? Each salesperson should be producing anywhere from $3 to $10 million in revenue, if we give them the leverage tools, if we give them the assistance, if we give them the social media, if we give them the right connections to build trusted relationships. We are the ones that make our people successful by our actions or inactions. If inactions produces failure. So going back to the crucial conversation for the doctor, the question that I wanted to ask, and I was not allowed to ask because I'm only one member on the board. And I was asked to be team lead on this particular company, and someone else is taking team lead. And I'm concerned about that he is too politically correct. We will not get the client's attention, and we are helping this client go to bankruptcy. And we should be able to see it, and we should be able to stop it. So if I was in charge of that project, I would ask Mr. Or Dr. So-and-so, when did you come up with this idea? And chances are he's going to tell me 7 or 10 years ago. And what was your first thought? If you thought this was a good idea, Obviously, you started a company to implement this idea. What did you do before launching the company? Because if you had a great advisor 10 years ago, a great advisor would have told you, okay, we need to sit down, we need to iron out this idea, we need to test the idea, we need to make sure that there's a proof of concept here. We need to look at competition. We need to look at what the competition is doing, what they're doing well, and what they're doing that could be improved upon, and look at their successes and failures, learn from their successes and failures, and save 5 or 10 years on our learning curve, and implement that on our business blueprint. Start designing the business blueprint, 3 to 5 years before launching this company. Start organic marketing 5 years before launching this company. Start building trusted relationships, because relationships with hospitals, doctors, and so on take a long time to build credibility. Start playing golf with right people. Start doing all that before launching. Then part of the business blueprint would say, 3 months before launching, you start with 3 or 4 or 5 sales reps, and you start training them. You start training them how to build relationships, how to use those leverage tools we talked about, how to do all those different things to make sure on launch day, we already have, enough momentum and enough trusted relationships that on launch day, we're starting with contracts, okay? Contracts to supply the doctors, to supply the hospitals, and supply those different things. All this work, 90% of this work should have been done before launch day, okay? All the training, all the marketing, all the different tools we should have used should have been done before launch day. So now we are 3 or 4 years in, I forget now. Now we're trying to build an airplane up in the air and fly it at the same time, which makes the job a lot more difficult. So going back to, if you didn't surround yourself with great advisors when you had the concept, right, before launching the company, if you didn't do that, that already tells us the type of management style he has. And we have statistical data going back 85 years to look at the different management styles to predict the future mistakes, okay? So I was part of the world's largest management consulting firm. I was number 2 in the world. I'm very proud of that. And statistical data is what we use to prove the decisions we are about to make is the correct one. And here's the data, okay? We don't make emotional decisions. We don't make decisions based on gut, because gut is wrong 96% of the time. So we don't do that. We make decisions, we make business decisions on statistical data, okay? A decision should take 8 seconds to make. A business decision should take 8 seconds to make. It could take 3 months for research, right? But the decision itself, based on the research, should take about 8 seconds, okay? And I'm not sure that we're making decisions in this company based on research. We're making gut feels. I think that's right. We should do that. We're doing things by trial and error. We should do that, or that sounds right. And this is how companies go bankrupt. So what I want to ask is, what did you do when you come up with the idea? What was your first instinct? Was it to just launch the company? Or was it to surround yourself with great advisors? I would like to hear your questions and comments below. And how does that apply to you? Because part of that, and his right-hand man sounds exactly like him. So it doesn't sound like they've got these huge debates, right? You want to attract people who have opposite skills, not people who have the same skills you do, okay? Because why? What's the point of duplicating your skills? You want to hire someone as your right-hand man who possesses the skills that you don't possess, right? And I'm afraid he didn't do that. But going back to other construction companies, most of my clients are in the construction industry. And what I find is the lost opportunity cost. Most people look at it, even though the business has been around for 26 years, they say, well, we just incorporated 3 years ago. So technically the company is only 3 years old. But then I ask a question, how long have you been in the construction industry? How long have you been, employed or had a job, right? Because really, your lost opportunity costs start when you were, let's say, 12 years old, right? Because that's when I started looking for mentors, even though I didn't know what a mentor was, right? So we have to look at our business as if we were lying on the surgeon's table and he just surgically removed our ego. He cut you open and he removed your ego. Okay. Because everything we look at it through our history filters. We look at it through our ego. And when you do that, it's like having, glasses that are, 2 inches thick. It distorts things. If we were to ask, 1,000 people to read the same book, they're going to get 1,000 different interpretations of that book based on their history filters and their egos. And your ego is going to say, yeah, I tried that, it didn't work. Yeah, I tried that, it didn't work. Yeah, I tried that, it didn't work, right? But did you try it the right way? Right? Because if 1,000 other people tried it and it's working for them, it's like saying, yeah, I tried driving. Yes, I had instructions, but I got into an accident, so driving doesn't work. Yeah, but it works for everybody else, right? So when you look at it, when you look at your business through your history filter or through your ego, you're going to get a distorted image of what your business is. And you're going to look at things from your perspective. You need to start looking at it from other people's perspective. I hope that makes sense. And only when you do that is when you can truly start calculating lost opportunity costs. Okay. What is the lost opportunity cost? As an example, let's say, you were 12 years old. You decided to, join entrepreneurial groups, CEO clubs, and, play board games that, entrepreneurial and so on. You started reading books. You started, talking to successful business owners. You started going to retirement homes and talking to successful executives who are retired. What would you do differently? Okay. And if you had done that, how would your life change? And be honest with yourself, right? If I start today and I surround myself with, a CEO, a general manager who has built businesses before, if I hire a sales manager who has really done some work somewhere else, if I hire a management consultant, if I work with Leo, okay, how would my life change? How would I build quality of life? Would love to hear your questions, comments below, and I apologize for the length of the video. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.